It was a quiet evening in late 2026, the kind where the world feels still, the stars above flickering softly in the vast expanse of the universe. But on that particular night, as the Earth rotated peacefully under the heavens, something extraordinary was unfolding in the deep, dark reaches of space, a discovery that would change everything we knew about comets and interstellar objects. This discovery was 3I Atlas, an object from outside our solar system, travelling fast enough that the sun couldn't capture it. Astronomers had been tracking its journey for months, trying to predict its path, its trajectory, and what it would look like when it finally arrived in the inner solar system. At first, 3I Atlas seemed like any other comet. Its appearance was faint, a smudge in the distance, but there was something about its speed, its trajectory, that immediately caught the attention of astronomers worldwide. It wasn't bound by the sun's gravity like most objects in our solar system. It was an interstellar visitor coming from another star, and it was headed straight for us. As it approached, the predictions were simple. 3I Atlas would act like any other comet. It would come close to the sun, its volatile materials would heat up, vaporize, and create the classic coma and tail. Its icy body would break apart in the heat, and it would slowly fade as it moved away from the sun. This was the script, the expected outcome. But when the object finally reached perihelion, the point in its orbit closest to the sun, everything changed. 3I Atlas didn't behave like the comets we were used to observing. It didn't break apart, didn't fragment, didn't shed the usual trail of gas and dust. Instead, it remained strangely stable, almost eerily so. There were no massive outbursts, no chaotic reactions. The object didn't disintegrate under the immense radiation from the sun, as every other comet before it had. It held its course with unnerving precision as though it was somehow unaffected by the intense heat and radiation it was exposed to. This was the first clue that 3I Atlas might not be a comet at all. Comets, as we understand them, are messy, unpredictable bodies. They're made of ice, dust, and gas, materials that vaporize and scatter into space when they get close to a star. The more heat they're exposed to, the more they break apart, shedding their icy components into a visible coma, a tail that stretches out behind them as they move through the solar system. This was the story we had been taught for centuries. It was simple, predictable, and true for almost every comet that passed through our corner of the galaxy. But 3 Atlas defied those expectations. Instead of a chaotic burst of activity, it seemed to glide through the solar system with a quiet determination. It didn't fragment. It didn't scatter into dust. It didn't even seem to be affected by the sun's powerful radiation in the way we anticipated. Instead, it remained stable, structured, almost as though it was being guided or even controlled. The scientific community began to take notice. Could it be that 3I Atlas wasn't a natural object at all? Could this be something engineered? A probe, perhaps, or an artificial structure designed for purposes we couldn't yet understand? The data coming in seemed to suggest that 3I Atlas wasn't just a comet. It was something far more complex, something that didn't fit the mold of anything we had ever seen before. And so, the question grew, what exactly were we looking at? Was this object simply an anomaly, a natural object from another star, or was it something else entirely? Could it be that we were witnessing the arrival of something engineered, something designed to travel across the stars and interact with our sun in ways we couldn't yet explain? As 3 Atlas continued its journey through the solar system, the mystery deepened. Every new observation seemed to raise more questions than answers, and the story of this interstellar object was only just beginning. What we knew for certain was that we were no longer looking at a simple comet. We were looking at something far more intriguing and far more mysterious. While the professional world of astronomy trained its most powerful telescopes on 3I Atlas, it was an amateur astronomer named Paul Craggs who would reveal something extraordinary. Armed with nothing more than his modest backyard telescope, a Dwarf 3 model, far from the advanced instruments used by space agencies, Paul captured an image that defied every expectation. What he saw through the lens was unlike anything the professionals had reported. While the official images showed 3I Atlas as a blurry, indistinct object, Paul's image was sharp, clear, and most shockingly, structured. It wasn't the chaotic, fragmented mass we'd come to expect from comets. Instead, It showed a brilliant, smooth object surrounded by a blue glow that seemed almost artificial. There were no chaotic jets of dust or gas, no fragments scattering into space. It was as though the object itself was perfectly intact, perfectly controlled. In the world of astronomy, amateur images don't typically challenge the data coming from billion-dollar instruments like the Hubble Space Telescope or the James Webb Space Telescope. But Paul's image did. The clean lines, the blue glow, nothing about this looked like a natural comet. It was too smooth, too symmetrical, too deliberate. When Paul posted the image online, it quickly gained attention. Other amateur astronomers began to check their own observations, and soon they too were seeing the same thing, a comet-like object that didn't fit any of the expected patterns. The excitement was palpable. If this was true, if 3i Atlas really looked like this, then everything we had assumed about interstellar comets was wrong. Of course, some in the professional community were skeptical. They argued that it could be a processing error, a glitch in the data. But as more images came in from independent astronomers, the evidence became undeniable. Something about 3i Atlas was different. Its sharp edges, its blue glow, its complete lack of the expected chaos. It didn't behave like any comet we had ever seen. It was clear that the object in the image was not what we had been told. It was not just a comet, but what was it? That question hung in the air as the story of 3i Atlas began to shift. No longer was it just an interstellar object passing through. It was something far more complex, something that seemed to defy every rule we had written for cosmic travelers. And now, with this new image in hand, the conversation was changing. If this was a comet, it was unlike any comet we had studied before. If it wasn't a comet, then what exactly was it? The more we learned about 3i Atlas, the less we understood, and the more we realized that we were dealing with a mystery that was only just beginning to unfold. As more data poured in, the mystery surrounding 3i Atlas deepened. The object wasn't behaving like a typical comet, and the anomalies kept piling up. Scientists couldn't explain why 3i Atlas remained so stable, why it didn't break apart as it approached the Sun, or why it didn't exhibit the usual chaotic outgassing that comets are known for. Instead, it remained eerily composed, almost too composed for a simple rock of ice and dust. The trajectory of 3i Atlas was another point of confusion. Comets are influenced by the Sun's gravity, and they follow predictable paths through the solar system. But 3i Atlas wasn't behaving like that. Its trajectory was too precise, too deliberate. It didn't veer off course, as comets often do due to the outgassing and sublimation of their materials. Instead, it moved through the solar system as though it was following a calculated path, unaffected by the forces that typically distort a comet's orbit. This led some scientists to consider an unsettling possibility. What if 3i Atlas wasn't just a comet? What if it was something else, something engineered, something designed to move through the solar system with purpose and precision? The more scientists observed, the more they began to question whether we are dealing with a natural object at all. Could it be that 3i Atlas was something else entirely? A probe, perhaps, or an artificial structure created by an intelligence beyond our understanding? The data was becoming clearer, but the more we learned, the less we understood. Every new observation seemed to challenge what we thought we knew. And as 3i Atlas continued its journey through the solar system, the question lingered in the air. What exactly were we looking at? Was 3i Atlas just an anomaly of nature, or was it something far more complex, something designed with purpose? As the mystery deepened, one thing became clear. The truth about 3i Atlas was something we weren't prepared to understand. As 3i Atlas approached perihelion, the point where it was closest to the Sun, astronomers around the world braced for the usual cometary behavior. The intense solar radiation should have been enough to tear the object apart, just like every other comet before it. We expected the usual signs, outgassing, fragmentation, and a chaotic release of gas and dust. But that's not what happened. Instead of disintegrating under the immense heat, 3i Atlas brightened. And it didn't just brighten in the way comets normally do, with a gradual increase in luminosity as gas and dust were released. No, this was sudden and sharp. In the hours surrounding perihelion, the object's brightness spiked, then just as quickly returned to normal. It was as though the object had been activated by the Sun's energy, in a way that no comet should have been able to do. For a brief moment, 3 Atlas appeared almost reflective, its surface suddenly glowing with a brightness that was too controlled to be the result of ordinary outgassing. Some scientists speculated that the object might have experienced a brief thermal fluctuation, causing it to reflect sunlight more efficiently. But the timing of the event, exactly as it passed closest to the sun, made it seem like something far more deliberate. The brightness spike wasn't gradual, it was instantaneous, like a light flicking on and off. This sudden, controlled increase in brightness led some astronomers to ask, could 3I Atlas be more than just a comet? Could it be reflecting sunlight in a way that comets never have? And if so, what did that mean for our understanding of interstellar objects? Was this just an anomaly, or was 3I Atlas showing us something entirely new? Something that couldn't be explained by the natural processes we've come to expect. As 3I Atlas continued its journey through the solar system, more strange features began to emerge, features that only deepened the mystery surrounding the object. The most striking of these was the blue glow that seemed to surround it, an eerie, vibrant light that was not typical of a comet. At first, it was easy to dismiss as a mere reflection of sunlight off the object's surface. After all, comets often appear brighter when they come close to the sun, their icy surfaces reflecting the sunlight. But this was different. This wasn't the faint light we normally see around comets. This was intense, structured, and consistent, almost as if the object was generating the glow on its own. Comets usually have faint comas, the cloud of gas and dust that surrounds them. These comas are created as the sun's heat vaporizes the icy materials inside the comet. The light we see from comets is the result of sunlight reflecting off the coma and tail. But 3I Atlas was different. The glow around it wasn't just a reflection of sunlight. It looked as though the object itself was producing the light, actively emitting energy. This blue glow, which enveloped 3I Atlas, was unlike anything astronomers had seen before. It was structured, almost artificial in appearance, as though it were a product of some kind of energy generation or manipulation. It wasn't the disordered, chaotic scattering of light we associate with comets, but a steady, consistent glow, like something deliberately powered. As researchers began to study the glow more closely, the data didn't add up. Comets are made mostly of ice and dust, materials that don't emit light in such a controlled and continuous way. It was as if 3I Atlas was using sunlight in a way we had never seen before. Some astronomers began to theorize that the object wasn't just a random chunk of ice and rock from another star. It might be something more, something designed to harvest and use solar energy. Could it be that 3I Atlas was engineered in such a way that it could capture solar energy and use it for some purpose? The blue glow wasn't just a reflection of sunlight, nor was it an accidental side effect of outgassing. The glow was too controlled, too consistent, and too structured. It wasn't just a natural byproduct of solar radiation. It was as though the object was somehow channeling the sun's energy, absorbing it, and turning it into light in a way we couldn't explain. This theory raised even more questions. How could an object from another star be engineered to harness solar energy so efficiently? What if 3I Atlas wasn't simply an interstellar rock? What if it was a probe or device, intentionally designed to capture and convert sunlight into usable energy? Could we be witnessing the first evidence of extraterrestrial technology, something far beyond our current understanding of physics and engineering? The more the scientific community looked at the data, the more they were forced to confront the possibility that 3I Atlas was something more than just an ordinary comet. It wasn't just a chunk of ice travelling through space. It was something far more advanced, something that was interacting with the sun in ways we hadn't thought possible for a natural object. This blue glow, this strange, consistent energy emission, was a clue, perhaps the first of many, that 3I Atlas was not just another cosmic wanderer. It was something engineered, something designed with purpose. But even as the possibility of artificial origins began to take shape, many questions remained unanswered. What was the source of this energy? How was it being produced? And most importantly, what was the ultimate purpose of 3I Atlas? Was it simply passing through our solar system, or was there something more profound behind its presence here? As the days passed and 3I Atlas continued its journey, astronomers watched in awe, their minds racing with questions, theories, and possibilities. What they had thought was a simple interstellar comet had quickly become something far more complex. And with each new observation, the mystery of 3I Atlas grew. expanding into something far beyond our understanding of what objects from other stars could be. As 3 Atlas continued its journey through the solar system, scientists began to focus more intently on its trajectory, trying to understand why this interstellar visitor wasn't behaving as expected. Comets, by their very nature, are influenced by the gravitational pull of the Sun. Their paths are bent, twisted, and altered by the forces of gravity and the outgassing of volatile materials from their icy cores. But 3 Atlas didn't follow the usual cometary path. From the moment it was discovered, astronomers had assumed 3 Atlas would behave just like the other interstellar objects that had passed through our solar system. It would follow a hyperbolic trajectory, moving too fast to be captured by the Sun's gravity, passing through the solar system before continuing its journey into the cosmos. Yet, as 3I Atlas neared its closest approach to the Sun, astronomers began to notice something unusual. The trajectory wasn't just hyperbolic, it was slightly off, deviating from what had been predicted. For most objects that pass through our solar system, gravitational interactions with the Sun and planets are the primary factors that shape their path. In the case of 3I Atlas, the Sun's gravity should have caused slight adjustments in the object's path. But what we were seeing was far more than the usual gravitational perturbation. The object seemed to be moving with a precision that didn't fit the normal models. The deviation was subtle at first, almost imperceptible to the naked eye. But as more data came in, it became clear that 3I Atlas wasn't simply responding to the Sun's gravity in the way a typical comet would. Instead, its path appeared to be deliberately controlled, or at least influenced by forces we couldn't identify. This wasn't just an object passing through the solar system. It was an object that was moving in a way that seemed almost intentional. Scientists at NASA, the European Space Agency, and other space agencies began to work together, reprocessing the data to understand what was causing these deviations. They compared the object's trajectory to the predicted paths of other interstellar objects, and while the deviations were small, they were enough to suggest that something more than gravity was at play. Something was influencing 3I Atlas's path in ways that went beyond the known physics of cometary motion. For years we've watched comets travel through our solar system, their paths shaped by the gravitational pull of the Sun, the planets, and the occasional close encounter with other objects. We've learned to predict the trajectories of these bodies with a high degree of accuracy, but 3I Atlas didn't fit the mold. Its trajectory was more precise, more deliberate than any comet or interstellar object we had encountered before. As astronomers continued to study the object's movement, the question became unavoidable. What if 3I Atlas wasn't just a comet at all? What if it was something more? Could it be that the object was being influenced by something other than gravity? Perhaps some kind of technology? Could we be looking at a probe or spacecraft designed to move with such precision and control? The trajectory of 3I Atlas was unlike anything we had ever seen before. It was almost as though the object was following a course that had been planned long in advance, a course that defied the randomness of natural gravitational forces. Its movements were too controlled, too precise, and it seemed to respond to the solar environment in ways that no natural object could. As more data came in, the evidence became clear. 3I Atlas was not behaving like any comet we had ever observed. It was behaving like something engineered. This realization raised even more questions. If 3I Atlas wasn't a comet, then what exactly was it? Was it a natural object that simply didn't fit the rules of cometary physics? Or was it something designed, an artificial probe perhaps, created to move through space with purpose? The mystery deepened with every passing day. And as 3 Atlas continued its journey through the solar system, it became clear that we were witnessing something unprecedented, a cosmic enigma that defied explanation. The trajectory of 3I Atlas continued to baffle scientists. It was no longer just a curiosity, it was a puzzle, and the more pieces we tried to fit together, the more questions arose. The trajectory wasn't random, it wasn't chaotic, it wasn't a comet following its natural path. It was a path that seemed to have been chosen, directed, and executed with precision. Something we had never seen in the unpredictable world of comets. And as we continued to track 3I Atlas, we realized that the real mystery wasn't just its journey through our solar system, but the forces that were guiding it along the way. As 3I Atlas continues its journey through the solar system, our understanding of what this object truly is remains shrouded in mystery. Each new observation seems to raise more questions than answers, and the more data we gather, the more we realize how little we actually know about this interstellar traveler. What we once thought was a simple comet from the outer reaches of the solar system has now evolved into something far more complex, something that seems to defy the laws of physics and perhaps even our understanding of space itself. The question that began to emerge from the moment 3I Atlas was discovered was simple. What is this object? At first, scientists thought it was a comet, a familiar celestial body, a chunk of ice and dust from another star passing through our solar system on its way back to the void. But as the object's behaviour became more and more unpredictable, it became clear that 3I Atlas was no ordinary comet. Its strange blue glow, its unnerving stability near the sun, its odd trajectory. All of these signs pointed to something far more intricate than just a natural object. Could this be an alien probe? A piece of technology designed to harvest energy from stars? That's a question that has begun to echo through scientific circles as astronomers and researchers continue to study 3I Atlas. It's a possibility that makes some uncomfortable, but one that we can no longer entirely dismiss. After all, the universe is vast and full of mysteries. If we can send probes across our solar system, why wouldn't another civilization, one far older and more advanced than our own, do the same? But it's not just the idea of alien technology that captivates us. It's the realization that 3I Atlas is something we've never seen before. Its behavior, its precision, its control, none of these are features we would expect from a comet. If 3I Atlas is natural, then it is unlike anything we've encountered in our centuries of study. It challenges our understanding of comets, energy transfer, and even basic physics. If it's artificial, then we are looking at a breakthrough that could change everything we thought we knew about the universe. The excitement is palpable, yet so are the uncertainties. We are on the verge of something monumental, but we have only just begun to scratch the surface. As 3I Atlas makes its way out of the solar system, we must ask ourselves, what are we truly witnessing? Is this just a freak of nature, a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly? Or is this the first sign of something far bigger? Are we watching the first glimpse of extraterrestrial intelligence, or are we simply observing a strange interstellar phenomenon that doesn't quite fit the mold? The data will continue to flow in, and each new image, each new measurement will bring us closer to an answer. But for now, we are left in awe of what we've discovered, and perhaps more importantly, what we've yet to learn. 3I Atlas is not just a visitor from another star. It's a symbol of everything that's still waiting to be discovered in the far reaches of space. As we continue to observe and analyze, one thing is certain. The story of 3I Atlas is far from over. The questions we have now may never fully be answered, but the pursuit of the truth will drive us forward. It's a mystery that will challenge our understanding of the universe, pushing the boundaries of science and exploration. And while we may not yet know what 3I Atlas truly is, we're on the brink of discovering something that could redefine everything we think we know about space, comets, and perhaps even the very nature of intelligence itself. So stay with us, because this is just the beginning. As 3I Atlas moves on, leaving our solar system behind, we'll continue to watch, study, and seek answers. What we learn from this object may just be the key to understanding the mysteries of the cosmos, and possibly the very future of humanity's place in it. The universe is vast, and with every discovery we move a little closer to uncovering its secrets. But for now, 3I Atlas reminds us that we're still only scratching the surface, still only beginning to understand the wonders that lie beyond our stars.